All right, cool. Okay, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Black Butterfly Podcast. You are now in the cocoon room. I can't talk right now. My name is Amaru.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Black Butterfly, the Cocoon Room. This is Candace.
I'm Ariane.
And I'm Vaughn.
Kenny, you muted.
You're muted.
Oh, look at that. Talking to myself. Kenny.
I'm Katana.
And I'm Joy Day from Indianapolis.
Yeah, y'all last.
I'm Dion, my wife.
And I'm Dee Dee.
Welcome, y'all. This is gonna be a fun show. This show is about balance, right? Balance of scales, right? And so when we talk about balance of scales, we want to talk about relationships, right? And so not men versus women, just what that looks like, right? Balances of scale. And so we're going to talk about the whole high value conversation, right? And the reason we want to talk about that because we want to talk to married couples, right, who actually got married, right? And so to get married, you probably had to have that conversation about, what are you bringing to the table? And so this conversation is going to be surrounding that. But before we get started, I would like to pivot over to Candace, and she will give us the scripture today.
All right. So today I chose the scripture from Corinthians 2, 6 and 14. And it is, do not be yoked together with unbelievers, for what do righteous and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? And so I actually chose that because we are talking about relationships and we're talking about married couples. As you guys know, when you get married, you have to have some form of compatibility in order for things to work out. And so that is why I chose the scripture.
And she talks about compatibility. And so obviously that is our word of the day. And so I like to teach Swahili, right? So I'm learning another language. And so that is why we have the Swahili translation of compatibility, which is utangamano. And I'll let Candace give the definition.
Okay, so the definition of compatibility is a state in which two things are able to exist or occur together without problems or conflict.
Okay, cool. And so, so I gave a precursor, right? And so, before we get started, right? So I would like to go through each couple that's here, right? And just tell us, how did you guys meet first? And then we'll go in order, right? How did you meet your spouse? How, was it awkward? Did you like him at first? Did you like her at first? That's just that whole story. And I'll start with Vaughn and Ariane.
Before we get started, guys, real quick, Amaru, can you do me a favor and send Crystal the link?
Okay, sure. Give me 1 second.
Thank you. We have another guest. Crystal. Oh, here. Let me send you her email. You would need that.
But you guys can start Vaughn and Ariane.
Go ahead.
Well, naturally, me and Ariane met at KK King King Middle School, and I saw her, and then all of a sudden she was gone. So that was our first initial meet, but we weren't together in high school at all. We was off doing our own things, and then naturally we ended up getting together. Not a long story, but we officially met at King King Middle School in Gary, Indiana.
Let me give a little bit more flavor to that. That
sounds, you're so dry.
I saw her. I said, "Dang, light skinned chick. I saw her. I liked her. Didn't ever really say nothing to her because I was doing my own thing. She was doing hers, and then she ended up at Pulaski.
we ended up going to high school together, which is how we know some of the people on the podcast. We all went to school together. Word Troopers 99. Anyhow, we did like everybody else, moved on with life. Long story short, almost 20 years later, we stayed social media friends through the whole thing. Social media, kept us like knowing what's going on with each other's life. We both have been through experiences, and we were coming out of our experiences at the same time, and just so happened connected. So
my question before we go into the next couple: who pursued who? Who initiated that? Who initiated the process?
He liked to say I did only because when he left out of his situation, he got a new social media, like a lot of people do, try to change over. And he sent me a friend request. I knew we were already friends, so that seemed weird to me. So I sent a message asking it was him. We went back and forth on realizing it's him. And I remembered he had been in a previous situation. So I said to him, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I realized, that you're married. And he said, oh no, I'm going through a divorce. So technically he liked to say I did, but he was hoping I would say something like that. So I was actually going through a divorce at the same time. So I said, well, we can be divorce buddies, going, understanding what each other are going through, but not trying to get into something that's going to rush too quickly. So he liked to say, I pursued him.
And Jonathan agree with me.
However, Eric, really?
So
However,
at the end of the day, we were talking back and forth. We got each other's numbers, and she said to me, "You was always cute," and I said, "Okay, gotcha." And that was my slide in the door, and that's kind of, how it started.
Next couple, it's getting a little warmer here.
All right, thanks guys for sharing. Okay, so I think Kenny and his wife were on next. So you guys go ahead and talk.
I'm not allowed to say that, but I'm a witness in this love story with Ariana, but I'm a witness. Like, I was in class with you two, and you two will kind of get your hands off each other. Especially you, Arian. You always get talking about them. Yes.
What is it, Mrs. and Mr. Day and Dion and Dee? Don't listen to them. Don't. I'll tell y'all the story later. Don't even worry about it.
All right, Kenny, come on, share
Thanks, Kenny.
with us about how you guys ended up together.
I think I'll keep this simple. We were friends all through high school, college, and everything. A younger sister was more like a sibling for me because she came to our house. We used to play video games together, play around on all that stuff. And she never came. She never came to our house. Well, like a cool friend, whatever. But in college, given all the trouble you guys gave me in high school, I never really thought I would end up with a black woman. Really, I was like, I'm done with black girls, man. I was not going to date a black woman.
Wow.
But,
And look at that beautiful woman you got.
You know what I'm saying? But I've been around the world, and I came back home. Really, at the end of the day. So my cousin was like, "Man, that one girl that you talk about all the time, Katana, go say hi to her." So I pulled my move, and she said, "No, man, we're just friends, And I was like, "No, man, we gotta go to the next level." And eventually, I won her over. It took like 9 years. I won. You never give up.
What's up?
All right, good to hear. All right, thank you. Katana, will you tell us how you met Kenny?
Yeah, we were friends for a long time, and then we actually went to. He was.
I'm sorry if you have noise in the background, guys. Can you mute yourself? We can't hear.
I have background noise too. We were friends for a long time. Like, we were friends through high school and college, and we didn't start dating until after college. But we were friends, and I didn't want to mess that up, so I just told him, "No, I don't want to be more than that." And then, like, after college, when Kike, wait, sweetie, wait, okay, wait. After college, that's when I guess we I considered it, and then that's when we like became more than friends.
Okay, I'm sorry. I hear somebody kids' videos or
Yeah,
iPad now. Please,
I hear it too.
Those are probably my kids' videos.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Let me
you.
turn it down. All right.
Mr. and Mrs. Day, let's hear your story.
Can we go to Dion? Let's go to Dion and Dee Dee.
Okay, go ahead.
Because Mr. Day is just coming in the room. So.
Okay, Deanna and Didi, you guys go ahead.
Y'all gotta unmute yourselves.
Go ahead, baby.
So let's see. Deanna, what are we doing? We supposed to tell how we met?
Yes.
Okay. We were
We were at Dale's house the first time we met. That's a long story.
Okay, so we were both at a basketball players swimming party, and we saw each other there, and we talked there, but made a connection, but not a exchange numbers or nothing like that. And maybe 2 years later?
Yeah.
2 years later, we saw each other again on the party scene, of course. And we've been together since then, and that was 23 years ago.
23 years ago. So like
23 years ago.
Yeah, when we first met at Dale's house, I had gotten back with my first wife. So I was still technically in a relationship, but I was just hanging out with a good friend of mine, and we knew, Dale and them, and they were there with some girls, and
we were the life of the party.
Yeah, they was definitely the life of the party. They was kicking it, and the thing I always remember about her was that she was just really extra chill. Like she was like, "Y'all ain't got no food up in this mug," and she done made her people go get fried chicken and all this other stuff, and they brought the party, they brought the life, they brought the energy, and I'll never forget that about her. But I wasn't really trying to hook up with anyone at that party that night. It wasn't really my thing. I wasn't on there, I was just chilling, having a good time. But when I seen her again, the other night we was at the Cocktail Cove back in the day. I don't know nothing about Cocktail Cove. We was at Cocktail Cove, and I seen her, and my friend tried to holler at her. We walked up to her and was saying something real corny and shit. I mean, the stuff. Sorry. And so I walked up and was like, "Oh, is he bothering you, baby?" You know what I mean? I kind of slipped in there like the hero. And she was, what did you say? What'd you say? You don't remember?
Yes, basically.
Melted her heart.
No, his friend bumped me, and then I turned around. And he was like, "Oh, excuse me," and I was like, "Oh shoot," and turned back around real fast.
Yeah, something like that.
Then Dion slid in with his corny line and said, "You want me to get your lick back?"
Yeah. So she got details. That's how you can never win an argument with a wife, because they always got the details. That's the subject matter, but she got the details. She know the truth. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what happened. And then this is history.
I was so I've actually, both of us have been married before.
Okay.
This is both of our second marriage.
Okay.
I was already divorced when I met him.
Yeah,
he was working on his divorce. They were separated when we first got together. And here we are 23 years later.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
I know, right?
Congratulations. Hey, Bonnie and Ariane, can you guys mute yourself? I am so sorry. I know everybody has kids, but our show is live, and so it's a
there's no kid going on.
Whose kid's video is that? I can hear something. Crystal, is that yours?
Maybe it's us.
Oh, it might be you guys.
Yeah.
All right. We just added another person. Crystal's here. Where's your husband, Crystal?
In the room. He gotta get up at 6 a.m.
Oh, he's asleep.
Tell them to stop acting old. All right, welcome. Joy and Mr. Day is going to go next. Chris, you'll be the last one to go. All right, go ahead, Joy.
So the question is, how did we meet? You wanna hear?
Where were we at? It was at the store, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were at my family business. We had a convenience store, and Joy would come in there from time to time, you know. But there's one particular day, you know, we was closing shop, and she came in at the last minute. Lights was off, door was supposed to have been locked, but she came in anyway, and you know, bought a Pepsi or whatever. And so I'm sweeping the, you know, floor, getting ready to leave,
Okay.
and kind of, you know, wanted to get her attention, so I tapped her with the broom. You know, not the bottom part.
Yeah.
The handle of, you know, the handle of the broom, you know, real nicely, you know, just joking around or whatever, you know, and conversation started from right there, right? And
It went left.
it went left for a second.
Because I was like, don't touch me with that broom. How
Yeah.
dare you?
Yeah.
That's disrespectful.
Mhm.
But to rewind, I had already saw David. Actually, I walked in in the store, and I was like, "Woo, dang!" You know, like, can I? Dion got the cut, so I was like, "Damn," you know. And then I went back to a hair salon where I was getting my hair done, because you know, like where it was, it's like 34th. This is in the hood, you know. So it's 34th and Keystone. And so I went back over there, and I was like, "It's some fine men over there at that shortstop. Who are they?" And they were like, so they name. So I was just making my business to always go into shortstop to buy me a Pepsi and a Snicker.
Yep.
So I was putting claims on him, but I already actually, guys. So I had a wedding date, right? Because I met him in 2001.
Yep. 2000.
And so before that, I already had my wedding date picked out. So it was, I knew I was going to get married July 7th, 2007. And so had that date set in mind. Mm-hmm. Set in mind. Just, yes. And so as time was getting closer, because David and I actually, we were, you know how like you just was just the attraction, the gravitational pull due to just lust, you know what I mean? To be honest, was there. So then we actually broke up, and I remember that day because I was like, if it's meant, we'll find each other.
Yeah.
And so I went on dating somebody else, he was too. And then so we met each other again.
Like 2 years.
Yeah, but because of the circumstances, I was dating, he was dating, so we were like best friends. Like best friends. But keep in mind too, although we weren't talking or having conversations, we have a son. So it's my son, but he adopted him. So at the time, you know, he's always been there for him. So I'm on dates, he would be babysitting him, babysitting Zach and seeing me going on dates. And then it was just one day, he just was like, let's see what this can do. Mind you, it was 2007, right? And it was like January. And I'm like, oh, so my wedding date is coming up. So are you sure? So then April, well, okay, y'all said how we met. I'm going too far down.
Okay.
All right, well, that is good. I see that we talked about earlier in the show, Amaru said that you want to talk about affirmations. Affirmation leads to manifestation. Joy had already picked out her wedding day even before she knew who her husband was going to be. So her speaking that out into existence, it happened for her. So good for you. All right, so we have Crystal joining the show. Her husband is in the next room. And Crystal, can you tell us how you and KJ actually met? How did that happen?
Hey y'all, Candy know more about my story than I did.
I actually do.
So actually, my husband is best friend, and my husband and his cousin and my sister are both used to be best friends. Both of their name is Candy. So Candy, the cousin, his cousin, had a birthday party in Indianapolis in 2011.
Probably.
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was 2011, and I was not going because I think I was coming out of a horrible breakup, and so I was not going to the party. And Candy, my sister Candace, and this is so confusing because both of their name is Candy, so I'll call my
You can
sister
just call
Candy.
her Candalyn and then call me Candace, and then I'll know.
Yes, but you know she hates that. So I'll call my sister Candace and I'll call the cousin Candy. So Candace, my sister, was like, "You can't miss it. You gotta come. You know, Candy is like our sister. You gotta come. She's gonna be so upset." So get there. My mom was with me, and we happened to pop in the mall. So Candace, Candy, myself, and my mom happened to pop in the mall. And he came and we all ran into each other. He came in the mall and it was all of them and all of the cousins. I don't know how familiar, some of you are really familiar with my husband's family, but they have a huge family. So all of them happened to pop in the mall or whatever. And we ran into the mall. He was like, "Oh, I love your lashes." And he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna see you at the club tonight, right?" Because she was having her I think it was her 30th birthday party, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "But when we get there, don't talk to nobody else. Tell everybody else you already my girlfriend." So it's him and all his friends. We get out to the club later on for the birthday party. And I think he was late maybe coming. So when he finally came there, he finally like got his nerve up because my husband is not a big conversationist. So he finally got his nerve up and he came over there after like all of his friends here tried to like talk to me or talk to my sister Candace. He finally got his nerve up and came over and was like, "Didn't I tell you don't talk to nobody in the club? Because you already my girlfriend. We already go together. And no sense in you trying to talk to anybody else because we go together." So moving forward, like I didn't really like him because he like cussed and he was very, very like he used like a lot of profanity. He was very, very rowdy. And I'm not like that at all. Like I'm real like, you know. And so we didn't hang out. It was like 2 or 3 months later, and I was dating. I'm sure he was dating, so we didn't hang out. He called me just out of the blue one day. I think I was doing some work or whatever. He called me out of the blue one day. I was like, "Do you remember me?" And I'm like, "Not really." And he was like, "I'm Candace's cousin. They call me Kenny J. You remember me?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So we finally went on our first date. We hung out a little bit. But first conversation, because you got to get that out the bat right away. He was like, we chit-chatted a little bit, and I don't have any kids. And he already had 2 kids. And I never knew if I wanted any kids, but I was like,
he said stop. Crystal, he said stop.
That's the part I do not want, because that's the part we're gonna get to. I don't mean to be rude, but that's the part we're gonna get to. So because we got we 20 minutes in, so I apologize for that. But the reason I wanted to have this conversation with married couples, right, is because we want to talk about like what you talking about with Kenny J when he bringing kids to the table, right? And so that goes around the conversation about what are you bringing to the table, right? And so the reason and that's why I wanted to stop, because I wanted, this is realistic, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know how long you've been married. I don't know like how long, well, Dion and Didi shared, they've been married over 20 something years. So that's great, right? I've been married 17. But they just got married, so y'all about to be a year.
Actually, we're over a year, so we didn't tell people about it.
I know you've been married for a little while. I don't know, Mr. and Mrs. Day, how long you've been married. So I want to give all perspectives on what that conversation was like when you guys got together. And so since you're leading into that, go right ahead. Go.
Give me 1 second though. I did hear a common theme in the conversation as the couples were talking, and that is that it is love after breakups and divorce.
Yes.
You know, you talk about and guys, do not laugh, but I keep hearing people say, like, if you're not married and you're dating, or if you're in a relationship and it is unbalanced, and you know that you guys are on your way out the door, I keep hearing the younger generation say, and I know it's kind of toxic, they always say, don't let your mate keep you from finding your husband or your wife. And so what I'm saying is, people oftentimes get married when they're young, and people, they don't get in a space where they don't like each other anymore. They just are not compatible, and they actually are growing apart. So I will tell the viewers there is definitely love and happiness after breakups and after divorce. So that's all.
I agree.
All right. So
Amen.
Crystal,
Amen.
you're gonna say amen. You're gonna talk about the kids, right?
So my husband has at the time he had 2 boys. His boys were about mid-age. I don't have any kids. The one thing that was like, kind of was like, oh, I don't think he my husband. Like I ain't feeling him like that anyway. He was like, I already got 2 kids and I don't think I want no more. So I was like, well, I don't want no baby today or tomorrow, but I might want one. And I was so happy he told me that like right away, so that I could just clear him right on. I could kick him right on off my bus because he wasn't my husband. Because my husband gonna be like, baby, I'm down for whatever you down for. So we didn't talk for like months after that. I was with it. And then he was like, he called me back like a couple months. And he was like, and his parents, I left this part out, but his parents actually grew. Funny thing, guys, his mother hooked my mother and my father up over 50 years ago.
Oh, cute.
Wow.
Yes. So he was like, I talked to my mom about, you wanting kids or whatever. He said we had a long conversation. And he said, my mom actually said that I was being selfish because you don't have any kids and I have 2. So even though I may not want anymore, if that's what you want, then when the time comes, we'll have that conversation. And if you still want a baby later on down the line, then I'm so with it. So it was growth.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, thank you for sharing. And we are going to go back to.
We go back to the first way. We go back Dion because we're going in order,
Okay.
right? So
All right.
we go back to
So,
Dion
and Didi.
So what was that conversation like? Like when you guys got together, like did you outright say, "Hey, what are you bringing to the table?" Right? Or like you make $35 an hour, I make $55 an hour. Like what was that conversation like? Or if there was a conversation.
There was never a conversation. Yeah. And I'm confused as to why or where these conversations come from.
Yes.
And
yes.
I've actually been married twice, and that conversation was never held with my first husband either. So I'm just a little confused when it comes to all of that, because I feel like that's being, a little shallow.
A little shallow.
And in my opinion, just as shallow as, the fellas and these bodies that they expect to see, your 15-year-old bodies or something that, a lot of men expect. Yeah. I think it's kind of, we are minimizing ourselves down to, and our love down to, these superficial things that really don't mean anything at the end of the day.
It's unrealistic thinking. Okay. To think that the way you found them is the way you're going to be with them for the rest of your life. You got to build a foundation off of the love and the energy, the connection. You know what I mean? That the way that the two of you, you can't stand to be apart. When you're together, you feel better. And, it's just because you're going to fall on hard times. Everybody going to get old and ugly if you live long enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what my dad would say. That's so funny.
We got to be able to build on the fact that there was something real there to begin with. And if you got money, if you don't got money, that's the thing. You can build that. And if you can't build wealth together, then what the heck are you doing together?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But you got to start with something else. I was roofing as a laboring roofer when I met my wife, and she was working in the real estate at that time. And we was making decent money, but we wasn't rich. We wasn't. And
I didn't have a clue how much he made either. Yeah. That was the part where I was like, oh, wow, was I supposed to ask him how much he made? I am 23 years in, and, maybe I should have asked that damn question.
You should have. It didn't really matter because we did everything we wanted to do.
Right. Yeah. We missed nothing.
Yeah.
And okay, guys.
I think we missed the mark when we get stuck.
Let me tell you guys. So the question, the reason we came up with the topic, we actually have a group chat with me and my friends. And one of our friends actually posed a question, and we thought it would be good to kind of talk about it on the show. That's why I came up with the name Balanced Scale. So, and this is how we're going to lead the conversation. But thank you, Dee Dee and Deanna. I both like both of your answers. She wanted to know, she said, is it unrealistic for her to desire a husband that makes 6 figures? And so that's where the question came from. Dee Dee actually addressed it in our group text. Joy actually addressed it. And so we're asking you guys to kind of give like more information. And so I think Joy and David, you're actually next. Okay.
For me, I would say it's for her to desire it. It's, you know, that's her opinion, you know, and that's what she want to, you know, it's invite into her life or whatever. That's what she's looking for, you know, that's okay. But to say, you know, you might be passing up a good guy just because he don't make that money that you're expecting, you know. So don't put anyone down just because they don't make what you want them to make, you know. Because, I mean, for me, money don't make me, I make it.
That part.
And, you know, so I love the person who I love, and, you know, I give all I got. You know what I mean? And for me, I'm glad that Joy wasn't that person when we met. You know what I mean? Not to say that I wasn't making it, you know, because from day one, we've been doing okay. You know, we never lost anything.
To that. I've been around a long time, probably 20 years. So.
Yeah. So what I was going to add was, so it's subjective to say if you want how we choose who we choose. It's very subjective. So what may work for you may work for somebody else. What you desire may be someone else. But I always like to challenge and say, are you looking outwardly in the world to say this is what you want, right? Because when we look and close our eyes and say, okay, what's good for me, may be that guy who's making $15 an hour. But because we're so focused on what everybody else thinks and perceives, and do they check off? Am I embarrassed when I'm with this person? Does this person have this idea of what I want to make the world? Because everybody's chasing what everybody think about them, right? So we want to find this mate that's going to be you know, the doctor. You know, everybody wants that look, but that's where we fail. We fail and we do not achieve the best lives that we have because that doctor can be kicking your ass. That, you know what I mean? Or I'm sorry. but
passionate about what you're talking about. We get it.
But I'm just saying that we need to choose your mate for you, not bump what your friends say, because David and I are 15 years apart, right? So we were stalled in his decision to marry me because I was so much younger. But if we had, and this ain't no sugar daddy situation. But a lot of times we get into that pretentious thoughts of what we think and the idea. We want them to have 100K or whatever, but we built ours together. And that's where we did not have a conversation. We're like Dee Dee and Dion. We did not have a conversation of what we're making. We took what we had and we made it work. And we're still doing that.
Yeah. So I like the idea that you guys are saying that you actually built it together, because in this day and time, and then our culture, all you hear is, you know, you'll hear the men or the women, you know, what do you bring to the table? You understand? People they get in a space where they don't want to build together. They want everyone to already have it, and then they merge. And sometimes that's just not being realistic.
Okay. May I please?
Go ahead.
Yes. So we actually had the conversation unintentionally. It was more so when we got together. Well, of course, we're grown. We're pretty much established in our lives. And he knew that I was a nurse. Now, let me get the facts straight. Nurses don't make no whole lot of money. We work real hard. But he had that in his mind. And so he was like, well, what do you need me for? So I was really shocked that he would think like that. But he told me what he made, because he was like, I want to be transparent with you. I need to know that what I got is good enough for you. And so I definitely explained it to him that it wasn't about any of that. I wanted him for him. What he brought to the table wasn't a factor to me, but because this world and there's so many women who do that, he had that mentality. So I had to break that mentality for him. As long as I don't care if you were working at Burger King, as long as everything that you brought home, you made sure we would, hey, whatever you can give in exchange, we do that together. But it's such a big thing nowadays because people don't have anything else to focus on that's worth something. So to me, you can make $100,000. That's great. But if you lose your job tomorrow, then what? Yeah. So I would rather your ambition and your wanting to contribute versus the actual dollar per dollar on what you have. And I agree with both of the couples. We'll build it together. But ours did start because he said, this is what I got, and I need to know where I can fit in it. So, but I agree also with Mr. and Mrs. Day. If you are focused on that, you may lose out on so much other stuff. And yeah, maybe that person don't make 100,000 today, but maybe if you were that motivation for them, they could make it next week, So.
Okay. Thank you. Kenny, I'm gonna go to you and your wife. I'm gonna rope back to Crystal because she didn't get to answer that. But I'll throw this out there. After Kenny, I'll follow up question after I hear from Kenny and his wife. Go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic. The wife had to go put the kids to bed because they go to school in the morning, so that's why she's not on right now. But I think that's a pretty good question. I don't think we asked that question because we were already friends. I was already making six figures. She didn't even have a job there, so I wasn't even thinking of what she brought to the table. I was brought up with the mentality of a man is supposed to provide. So I'm not looking at what she was going to provide financially, but I was looking for somebody that was coachable, that maybe we can work together as a team and grow together. So I wasn't looking like, I was like, man, come over to DC. We can try to get you a job here and then start building an investment portfolio, pay off whatever debt you get, and then move us to the next level. My biggest thing was, man, you got to go to grad school. That was what I was pushing for. I wasn't pushing for whatever money she was going to make. I was just like, let's get super educated here and let's move this sucker to the next level. She still didn't go to grad school. I'm glad she didn't. Because grad school is just for debt. It's like building an investment portfolio, starting businesses together, growing a family together without having to fight each other. Somebody that you can grow together with was what I was looking for. And what better way to do that than with your best friend, right? So those were the things I was looking at. I wasn't looking for... literally, I had girls that were doctors that I was talking to that I still did not take to the next level because the personality just wasn't working. You can make more money than me and just put it all in my face, or we make the same thing and we still just don't agree. I'd rather have a good friend that we can grow together, have kids together, laugh together, travel together than, oh yeah, she makes a lot of money and we can make a lot of... No, money's not everything, man. You gotta be happy at the end of the day. I'm sure she'll probably tell you the same thing.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, she's back.
All right. Okay, we were talking about your making six figures. So we wanted to do a follow-up and see how you thought about that. Was that a conversation that you and Kenny had together about how much he made, and was that a factor in you wanting to pursue?
I think it is. It's a conversation, a necessary conversation, because finances can cause a strain in the relationship. But we were, undergraduate and graduate, so we weren't. With his first job, yes, he did make a lot of money, and then I was transitioning to come here, so I didn't make a lot of money initially. But I heard him talking about me going to grad school, but I was like, I have not paid off undergraduate. Like, I'm not ready to take on another $60,000 in debt. So I was like, the biggest thing, it was not that I didn't want to. It was just like, I didn't want to. I'm like, somebody's going to have to pay for it, and it's not going to be me. So we were working on getting out of, definitely like fixing credit, getting out of debt. Like finances, having a good financial base was important. So it's not like, oh, you had to make this amount of money, but having your finances in a good place in order for you to be able to, get a house and get a car and get credit. That's important. So that's a conversation that we did have, and we even took classes on it.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you. Crystal, can you tell me if that's a conversation you and KJ had when you guys were recording?
So what I will say, and I just want to be transparent, people will say, like, especially like the couples that have been together are 10 or 20 or more years, said that they did not have that conversation. But 10 or 20 years ago looked very different from how it looked now.
Yes.
Okay, no, wait, don't answer that because that's my follow-up question. I'm asking you specifically. You and KJ have that question.
I understand. I'm not gonna add lib into that, but I'm not gonna add lib into that. I'm not gonna go into that, but my husband was already in college, you know what I'm saying, when I met him. And I was already, like, I've always been a hustler, like an earner. So I already knew he was going to do well. So we didn't say, when we came to the table, we did talk about our needs and wants in a marriage, but we didn't talk about like finances and stuff like that because we had been around each other so long. We dated for 10 years before we got married. So the expectation was already there. He likes nice stuff. I like nice stuff. I mean, realistically though, if he wasn't making no money, I'm gonna just be honest, we wouldn't have went down the aisle. That's just me. I would have been like, no, sir, I can't do it.
Okay. So
I like to add something because I got married too, didn't I? I think I got married.
Yes,
okay.
Go ahead.
But me and my wife, we've been married 17 years. And like all the other couples, we never had that conversation at all. Like, it's funny because I was just talking to this with my mother-in-law, her mom, and her sister yesterday, and she reminded me. My wife reminded me. She's like, "Yeah, you was working at the post office. It's been so long ago, I forgot. Like, I forgot even that part of me." She was like, "You worked at the post office. I worked at the post office and Circuit City, so I was bringing in some crazy money. I wasn't even spending it." And she was like, when I met her, she was living in Wisconsin, and so I believe at the time she was teaching. And so what I would do, I would send her gift cards and stuff, to what was it, a microwave or something, what dudes do, like, here's a care card, think about me, I'm the dude in Indiana, don't forget about me type deal, right? But that's what I was doing, right? And so, again, I didn't have the conversation. And when I first met her, it was at a wedding. She was at a wedding. What caught my eye was that, of course, she's beautiful. But, what happens typically at a wedding, people drinking, they dance and all that. She wasn't doing none of that. She was over there with the kids, navigating with the kids. And I was like, that's my wife right there. And my cousin was like, you don't even know her. My cousin was like, she's not even your type. I'm like, what do you think my type is? You know what I'm saying? And so, she lived in Wisconsin. I lived in Indiana. We was courting each other for a year. And then we got married. And so, like, it's kind of similar to what you guys, the rest of the couples stories were, a lot of time. And then one of the things that, the reason I wanted you to share your stories is because, like, I think someone mentioned it earlier, it's a different time, right? We didn't have those conversations. Like, it wasn't like, when I meet a girl, she got to be making over, 50 racks. Or it ain't even we can't, it wasn't even it was nothing like that. And so, like she said, this just popped out of nowhere. And I'll be literally listening to this stuff. I'll be cringing. I'm like, really? I'm like you said, what somebody said, maybe I should have been asked that question now or back then, because this is like a new day. And it's like, it's kind of ridiculous too, because the main people who drive that conversation, they don't have a woman or they don't have a man. And I'll be sitting there literally like, I'm like, so where's your, not that you have to, oh yes, you want to be married. Everybody wants to be married. Everybody wants to be with somebody. But I think that's kind of dumb if you're giving relationship advice when you have no relationship. Like that makes no sense to me. But go ahead. I digress. Go ahead. I just want to get it out there. Go ahead.
Okay. So guys, now a lot of you guys have been dating your spouse or have been married at least 15. Now, I know we have some newbies here, Vaughn and Ariane, but you guys got to think about it. Like, if you get married in your 20s, your late 20s, or if you get married in your early 30s, it's going to look different than people who are getting married now in their 40s, right? So I heard Kenny say that he wanted to make sure that his wife was coachable. Sometime in relationships, people get together and they're unequally yoked, and their desires are different. Their morals and their values are different. So if you're getting married in your 20s or 30s, you have that time to save and build and, to work on things and build the investment portfolio. When you get married in your 40s or even in your 50s, the conversation has to be made, not necessarily about how much they make, because you do want to make sure that there's people who make a lot of money, and I'm sorry, they're assholes, right? But not all of them. There's people who have no money and they're assholes, right?
Yeah. Yep.
The thing is, you have to make sure there's compatibility there. So it's a conversation that you have to have, because when you get married and you're 40, a lot of you guys, I love what you were saying. Dion basically said, like, hey, I was taught to be a provider. Kenny basically said, I was taught to be a provider. These are some conversations, David, I was taught to be a provider. My father is the same way. Eugene is the same way. Vaughn, I'm hearing that you're the same way. A lot of people are in spaces where they are wanting the woman to pay 50, everything has to be 50-50 because they're hearing this toxicness on TV. Whatever the woman brings to the table, it should be just extra. And as you guys can see, we actually all know each other from one way or another. We have that connection. So we are hanging around people who think like us and who are similar in the thinking. And that's why we all wanted you guys to actually come on the show. But again, if someone's in their 40 and they haven't, started off in their career, or they're at least not trying to be like an entrepreneur and they don't have anything, then that conversation seems different, because realistically, anybody that I know on here, you guys you live well, you do well for yourself, you're pretty smart, you're pretty intelligent, and if you don't have the money in the bank, you have to know how to actually go and get the money, right? Mm-hmm. So if you guys were not married or not in a relationship, what would your partner look like? What values, what morals would you want them to have? And getting into a relationship with you. So we have to be mindful of what it looks like for someone who's already making six figures and to want to start to date someone else. All right. So Amaru, any follow-up questions for that
question? Well, I'll put this to the couples. Define high value.
That's one of our questions. Joy, please take that first.
Yes. Okay. So we were discussing that in kind of like in our chat, and high value. A lot of people tend to believe that it equals you're measured by your income, right? Mm-hmm. Your salary, whatever you're bringing in, that makes you high value. That is absolutely a lie. You are valued by which of your character, whatever your character is. That's how you should be measured. Your morals, your standards, your integrity, making the right decision when nobody's watching. That's what makes you a high value person. If you are that person, the universe and God is giving. It's going to follow. Goodness is going to follow you if you are that person. If you're a high value person, the money comes. I don't know any non-high value person who's broke. I don't know one.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Will you follow up with that question, please? Because I'm asking this because we hear a lot of people, and it was from a podcast person. He is no longer with us. He talked about what high value looks like, but when he talked about it, he was always in a space where he was degrading women. Okay, so what does high value mean? I feel like just because you have money, it does not make you a high value person. You have to have some character. And I see Kenny has a follow. Go ahead, Kenny.
Hey man, come on, man. Let's give Kevin Samuels the credits. Let's go.
I was trying to respect him because he has transition.
Okay. It's gone. Who knows? Well, he was right in some points. Let's be real, okay? You spend all your 20s or your 30s trying to be all fancy and Gucci, Mm-hmm. I don't want you, right? And then in your late 30s, and you're like, oh, I want a high value man. All the good opportunities you had back then, you didn't take it. Now you've messed around. You got 2 kids. You got 3 kids.
We're not talking about that.
Let me finish high
value. I'm not disputing that. I'm saying high value as far as your character. It does not make you high value because you have money. There's a lot of people who
That's
have
your
money
definition, though. That's your definition.
I'm just saying, it's a lot of people who have money, and they're not good people. Money doesn't make you a good person.
Mm-hmm. I've not said money yet. Have I said money yet? No, I've never mentioned money yet. Notice I've not said money.
Let's just be clear. But go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I already talked about what happens when you've been so fine and pretty in your 20s and 30s, and like, I'm too fine for you. Get out of my face. That happens in your 20s and your 30s, right? And then your late 30s is like, oh my God, I don't have a man. And then you probably have kids by then. You're not your nice slim figure 8 anymore. You've put on some weight. Hey, I'm telling you guys the truth, man. That's the fact.
People want it. That's what we want.
And then all of a sudden, let's say you want a man, and then you're like, you must get a man that does not have any kids. Remember now, you're in your late 30s. Men too are not playing around. Some men they didn't pull out. They've had kids. So, hey, it's the fact we all grown up here. Let's talk the facts. So now you say you're in your late 30s, you don't want a man with kids. This man's got to make X amount of money. He's got to have a house, this type of cars. Come on, man. You yourself, you've not put yourself at that level to be acceptable. And now you want a man that is like this golden trophy. Like, you don't deserve a man with that golden trophy. I don't even care how much money the guy makes. The guy's probably like, man, I want a 22-year-old girl, she don't have no kids either, I don't care how much she makes. At least, I can start afresh. That is probably what a guy like that thinks, without even thinking money. So we have to think about it multiple ways. Think about it from the point of view of a man, and then from the point of view of a woman.
Can we also think about it like this real quick? I'm sorry to interject, but maybe some of those people who have these things that they feel that a person needs to come to the table with, maybe it's because of background trauma, because we're talking about people entering relationships in their late 30s and their 40s. Maybe, just maybe, the woman who don't want a guy with kids is because maybe she went through a situation with a guy with kids and it burnt her. Or maybe the guy who don't want a woman who don't have the finances, has finances because he went through with a woman who did bad with it. You know what I'm saying? Or what's the word I'm looking for? Like, took advantage of him for it. So he wants somebody who comes to the table with that now. So I think we kind of getting stuck in that place where we're like, oh, well, no, you just shouldn't look for this. However, some people look for those things because of what background trauma has done to them. So
Eugene has a follow-up question. Thank you.
No, not a follow-up, but I like the comment. So what he said is actually true because it happened to me. So right before I met my wife, I was dating. And I never forget this. I had to ask my mother. I said, Mom, let me ask you a question. I said, is there something wrong with me? And she was like, why? She's like, why you ask that? I was like, because I was living in Indianapolis. I was living in where was I living at? Oh my goodness, I forget the address. But I was living in Indianapolis. Speedway, I forget the apartments, but I met a girl and she told me there's something wrong with me, and she was like, because I don't have any kids. And I'm like, I sat down, I couldn't, I was like, really? I'm like, so because I don't have seeds planted all over the damn globe, is something wrong with me? Like I was actually internalizing that. I'm like, okay, I'm like, damn. And then so I actually started to feed into that. Right. And then I had to ask someone older, right, who had a little more wisdom. She's like, no, baby, that's because she made a lot of mistakes in her life. So she's trying to push it onto you. And I was like, oh, wow. So, but not saying, yes, she was very toxic, but it was like, because I didn't know, I was single. I'll never forget what happened. I was running the post office, so I put that out there. I had 2 cars, right? Had my apartment, everything. So I'm doing my thing. I ain't got no kids, nothing, right? So I'm just living. And when I proposed to my wife, I gave her, I sold one of my cars to buy her engagement ring. And my friend at the time, he's my guy to this day, Paul, I never forget, he said, you must be really serious. Because I had a Chevy Caprice 95 bubble, baby blue, sound, everything. So that was my baby. And so it showed how much I love her. And I'm talking to myself as I'm trading the car in, I'm like, this better work. Because I don't do stuff like this. Right. But go ahead. But I just want to put it. Yes, he's right. Because I couldn't believe that a woman would tell a man that. I was like, wow, what's something wrong with me? Because I ain't got no kids. I'm like, that's crazy. But go ahead.
I just have 2 questions. And this is to the older couples. Back in the day when you all got married, I'm sure you guys weren't hearing things like a high valued man I mean, that's my question to Mr. and Miss Day and the other couple. You guys have been married for almost 20 years. There was no high value men back then. Like,
so maybe you were
for
not
me,
around high value.
I have just one more question before you answer that. And two, like, for us who are all married, I feel like my man is a high value man.
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's my other
Right.
thing. Like, everybody who they're with, you would feel like your mate is high value, whether you're a man or a woman, right?
Mhm.
That's just my thought, but that's more of a question for the older two couples.
I think people are getting away with it. We're not saying, because our father and mother have been married over 45 years, and I feel like my dad's high value. I'm not saying that. I think a lot of the conversation, it came around to where they were associating money with,
yes.
with the character, and that's where me and Joy were actually kind of going back with. You can be high value, but what we're saying is just because you have money doesn't make you high value. It's integrity, it's loyalty, it's respect. You understand? That is what makes a person high value. It has nothing to do with what you're earning. It's people right now that are teachers that teach your children, and they make 45,000. I think they're high value because of what they're doing, not because of what the money that they make. So let's be clear, okay? All right, go ahead, Didi.
I was going to say, so for one, we are not the older people.
No, I meant your years in I meant your years in marriage.
Okay, but
I didn't mean older. I meant your years in marriage. I'm sorry.
My dog even got a problem with that.
Back off that old stuff.
So here's the deal. So the conversation was about whether or not she wanted her man to make $100,000 a year. So in my opinion, I don't even know what my opinion was then. So I am only standing on what my opinion is today. And what my opinion is today is I'm still not going to be asking, if we were not together, I'm not going to be, oh, well, how much money do you make? Because in my opinion, I feel like success comes at so many different ages. So what if God has some man for me, the single woman, and that man only makes $45,000-$50,000 a year? Say that God is waiting to put us together for me to show this man how we can go and get the bag, and how and maybe I turn him into like maybe a multi-millionaire. I turn us into a multi-millionaire or something of that sort. Then my little $100,000 a year kind of really does it still matter then? Or should he all of a sudden turn around and look at me and say, oh, well, I'm a multi-millionaire and all she make, is this little $100,000 a year? I was more focused on that portion of it. And in my opinion, to this day, because I make pretty decent money by myself, I still would not be looking towards a man as to, oh, well, let me figure out how much he makes first before we can even date. I just think that's being unrealistic. And I think it's shallow.
Tell you something. What you do with a little bit of money is what you're going to do with a whole lot of money.
Yes, sir.
So if you can save 10 cents for every dollar that you make, good for you. You know what I mean? Because when you make 100, you're gonna save 10. When you make 1,000, you're gonna save 100. And you make 100,000, you're gonna save, you're gonna save 10% every time you doing your thing. So your habits is what makes you who you are. Exactly. Your characteristic, your character, your values, your sense of respect and love, and having a foundation that's real. So money make, like my man said. We make the money don't make us. You know what I mean? And that's the realest thing I've heard all day.
And to me, it only became an issue, to be truthful, in my opinion, it only became an issue when women started making better money, because men have always been earners anyway. And to me, this is becoming an independent woman, we're going to be found by ourselves type situation. Because we're now, looking down our noses at someone just based upon how much money they bring to the table, and back to that situation, I mean, the conversation earlier where you said there were no high value men. I don't know where you was hanging out at, but I've never, ever, ever dated or been in a relationship. I've been married twice. Both of the men that I married were pretty decent earners and were high value men. I'd like to say that about some of the boyfriends that I had also. They might not have been the person for me, but I can't just take it away and say, oh, they weren't high value men. There are lots of high value men, especially if we don't focus on the money aspect.
Right.
Our son is a high value man. And
Right on.
Right now,
And he
you know
only
what I'm
made
saying?
$18,000 this past year. He's 20 years old and in college. But he's
Right.
a high value
He's a
man.
high value man.
I got a question though.
I
I got a question for the fellas. So it's another thing, right? And so put it out. My wife's a doctor, right? So I'm good, right? I'm good. I can lay around at home and my underwear be musty all day. We get money, right? So I'm just saying, like, we good. But the question is this: would you have a problem with your wife making more money than you? Would you have a problem with that for the fellas?
Go ahead.
Well, I'll go first on that one. I'm sorry, Kenny. But my wife is a nurse. I'm a supervisor at a manufacturing facility. So she makes more money than me. At the time, I came into the situation not knowing in the ballpark of what she made, but it really didn't make a difference to me. And to this day, it really doesn't. Like, I believe that she has more stuff coming out her check. So I actually bring home more money than she actually does. So, and I just look at it like, me and Ariana, we go on trips, we buy what we want. And a lot of times, like when we, like, and Eugene might know this, but when we go to the stores, my wife she has a slide. So she slides away from the register, what I call it. It's like she like in the Temptations or something, So to me, I bring home more money than her, but she has more coming out of her check. And we swip and swap money. She'll be like, hey, I need some gas. Be like, here go my card, or I'm going to go to the gas station and do it. So to me, the money situation don't really matter. But you have to build together at the end of the day.
Which is exactly what you guys, when you're talking about high value, that's high value. My husband says, I don't have the means like you. Nurse, everybody know that we can go work like crazy and it's what it is. That means absolutely nothing to him. He's like, okay. And I told Amaru this. If something costs, we'll just say it's $10 just for poops and giggles. If I got $15 and my husband has $10, he gonna give all of his to the pot just about. So I don't have to really worry about it. That's the high value. So again, when we're talking about that person with that $100,000 or whatever, together we make a whole and we make it right. Yeah. The value of him, I can't get that because somebody has a certain dollar amount that they make. It's what he's willing to bring, what he's willing to give, what he's willing to contribute. And this one right here, if it's something I want bad enough and I don't have it, if my husband got to stay at work extra time every day just to make sure everything is taken care of, he gonna do it and tell me, babe, go home. You worked enough today. You go and lay down. So that's high value.
Thank you. I love the questions. I love the follow-ups. Did anybody else have anything else to kind of add to that? Go ahead.
I was gonna.
No, Joy. Go
Kenny
ahead.
was next, I think. I stopped.
No, Kenny went, and then we'll go back to Kenny. Go ahead, Joy.
To the question for Crystal, when she said that back in the day, that we didn't have the term high value.
Yeah, so she wasn't saying there wasn't any high value men because my uncles, my grandparents, my dad.
We didn't have the term.
Yeah, she said she meant the term. Yes, go ahead, Joy.
Right, the term wasn't used. The term wasn't used. However, what was used was a good man, a stable man,
provider,
a sophisticated. My husband has a je ne sais quoi. He's sophisticated. He embodies what a man should be, or I mean, but she's laughing too hard, and she's taking me to friendship zone. But but David, he has strong masculinity. That's part of it. And I think with women, for us to be high value women, it is able to compromise. Do we have the femininity? Is how we talk. Are we able to nurture our men and our children? Are we healthy? Or do we keep that in mind? So a lot of that is part of what makes a high value woman and man, but that's in this day. But we're just like Apple. We get updates just because we were married in 2007 and before, whatever. We are still in tune with new terms. But we were high value then and we're high value now.
That was the answer to my question, Joy. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I wanted to follow with what Vaughn was saying earlier, and also this time about our value men and our value women. I think what we need to realize is that, like Miss Days was just saying, is that the times have changed, and I think the way people are growing up now and all that they're exposed to in the media is having them maybe act or behave this way. That could be another trend that is happening, and we need to try to educate the younger ones to understand that building a relationship is about teamwork and not about just your own all, but like a whole together. Because I think that's what makes a strong relationship. And I'll give a good example to that. There have been 2 times in our relationship that everything has come crashing down. As a federal government contractor, contracts come to an end. If we have not built a relationship together with a good foundation, with a good savings account, if you just have a wife that spends money a lot and you guys do not save, and maybe I lose my job, the contract ended. We have to go 4-6 months with our savings. If you didn't have any savings, you're in that relationship where it's your money versus my money, you will never survive that. There was a time where I literally left the family here to go start up an airline in Nigeria. Everything just the entire money, our entire savings was wiped out. I ended up losing all the funds. I had to come back home and survive an entire year without any income. So no matter how high value you think you are, everything could be zapped out. But if you don't have the right partner with you to help you survive an entire year with no income, and your wife is there going to work every day, bringing in the money to pay the bills while you're trying to get your life back together, it gets really hard. So it's not about just the man being the high value. It's also the woman being the high value, but it's the mindset of building together. It's not about what money you make, it's how much we can bring together and then grow. That's what you should be looking at, not how much money that person have before you start the relationship.
Great. Good point, Kenny. I was thinking the same. I was thinking that's a good point.
All right. Just to follow up, guys, I agree with the points that you were all making. All of you gave good information, sound information, and it is about teamwork. A lot of times when you talk about high value women and men, it becomes more individualized instead of becoming you guys working together as a team. And so that's why a lot of people are saying, okay, what does he bring to the table? What does she bring to the table? I'm not going to date this person if they don't make this dollar amount. But, you can make a lot of money. But again, does your morals add up? Does your values add up? Do you have the same religious background? Do you have the same spiritual background? Can you compare what do you like? How do you raise your children? Are you into spanking? Do you not want your kids spanked? Do you want your kids to go to private school? Do you want your kids to go to public school? All of that matters. And oftentimes people get into these relationships and they don't have those conversations. And then they end up like, okay, it's 6 months down the line. I didn't actually meet the person. I met the representative, and I know you guys have all dated before you got married, and you know what the representative looks like, right? They give you the best version of themselves until they don't. And then you're like, oh, I'm so in love. And now you're trauma bonding with this person because they're very toxic, and it's kind of hard to get away from them. So some conversations in relationships are definitely hard to have, but they absolutely need to be had. Okay. Omari, you have any follow-up questions for everybody?
I got a question for this is for all, everybody, right? So let's say your marriage don't work out, right? Just God forbid, just say something bad happens and, you stop growing together and, things happen, right? So because I want to give a mindset for what's happening today, right? So let's say we all have to date right now, right?
Hell no.
What would real quickly give the audience
My mic was not muted.
give the audience 3 things you will be looking for in that person, real quick. And I'll start with Kristen. We're gonna work our way up. If you had to date today, right? Let's say something happened, right? You know, you y'all divorced, whatever. Assets equally set. You good, he good, right? And you had to start all over. Give us 3 things that you would be specifically looking for in a mate.
He has to be funny. He got to make me laugh.
Intangible, yes.
Family oriented.
Intangible.
Have a connection with God.
Intangible.
Okay.
Kenny, you next.
That was quick. The wife was over. The wife was over here. I think our computer got disconnected. If I had to date today, what would I be looking for? I don't know. I tend not to. Well, you can come here and answer the next question. Well, since you're here, since you're trying to connect. I think that if I was looking for somebody else and I was not dating right now, I wasn't in a relationship right now, I still think that it's got to be somebody that I've been a friend with for a long time. It's very difficult for me to jump into relationships. We had to be like friends for a while. Like I need to know your personalities, your behavior, if you're good with money, if you're good with family, if you're loving, if you're caring, if you could be a good mother. All those things I can't find out from dating you. I can only find out from acting as if I'm not interested in you, but seeing you being your normal self. And then from your normal self, I'm like, okay, all right, next level. But the problem is women, majority of the time, are like, oh, now you're in friend zone. And I'm like, man, I'm using this whole time to study you so that I can go to the next level. Now you're putting me in the friend zone. What the hell? Anyway, this is the master of friend zoning over here. Let me give it the phone.
I didn't hear the question.
Yeah, go ahead and ask the question.
But
The question is, if you had to separate from your partner and you got back into the world of dating, what 3 things would you be looking for in a new partner?
Well, I guess first of all, before I start dating anybody, like now that we have kids and things have changed and we're older and more mature, I would first of all take some time to, reorient myself and get to know myself and kind of really be comfortable with where I am and who I am before I would even date somebody. So I think that's at any stage. In my 22, I wish I had taken more time before I started, I guess, talking to people, because it's important to heal from past relationships before you jump into something else. And definitely be comfortable and know who you are before you decide to be with somebody else. So those things that are important to you, like those morals and values and stability, and somebody who, has a good relationship with God, is responsible in their finances too, responsible in all aspects of their life. And then see where it goes from there, build from friendship and into something more meaningful.
Okay, thank you. Didi and Dion.
And there's a reason why I asked this question, because like over time,
Can we
like you said,
let them finish up? So we have a
little while. But I want to say this quickly. Over time, things may change, but certain things remains the same. You it's intangible stuff. So that's why I wanted to ask this question. But go ahead.
So if you got with somebody else, who would they be?
Oh Lord, here go Didi.
A rated PG, PG-13, or rated R show. What can I say? I don't know. I wouldn't date anybody else.
Oh, come on.
All right, maybe I'd date a big booty girl. I don't know. On my birthday. No, I don't know. I've never put any thought into that, to tell you the truth. I don't think I wouldn't jump into nothing anytime soon. I can promise you that. I would be off on my own and just really trying to explore and find myself. And I'd probably go on some kind of vision quest, to be honest with you. really just try to figure some stuff out while I have that freedom before I ever thought about doing that again. Because if I couldn't make this work, I wouldn't be too thrilled with trying to try it again.
All right. Didi.
So, I
don't want to do this.
Yeah, if I found somebody else or if I got out of this, I would be looking for someone who is open and honest, and loyalty and some money.
All right.
Mr. Day.
Dave, you want to
go? For me, God forbid anything ever happens, and because I do want to grow old and just for the rest of my life be here with Joy. So God forbid anything ever happens. But just to answer that question, it would have to be she would have to be a God-fearing woman, someone who just love God, have to be a family-oriented person. What I'm saying, because I'm about family. I love family. And it, just have to be a good, friendly person. We would have to get along just good together. Just a good friend. So, and just a worker, a go-getter, someone who wants to strive and make something, build something, so that's what I would look for,
Well, she's gonna have a hard time.
All the things that
she's gonna have a hard time. So your future wife, let me tell her something right now. I'm going nowhere. I'm still gonna be able to call them. I'm gonna be in your business. You're not having my family. My kids better not. No, it's funny. Okay, so mine just went. Okay, so if it were me, we've had our ups and we've had our downs. So we've had our times where we were like, I'm out, right? So truth be told, I don't want to be out there. Because like y'all, I feel I love being single is not a disease. Have fun, take your time and choose the right one. But you guys have it hard. Single people have it hard today more than ever. So it scares me even to think about being out there. And when I think about it, you guys have like high competition. People are 8 figures body looking. You know what I mean? They're getting BBLs and I don't have that. You know what I mean? So the market of women is up there. So the temptation is up there. And if men are not used to being with one woman, it's hard. It's hard. So I will be like Miss Lady, Kenny's wife. And take some time, and hopefully, if something happened while I was taking time and something developed, then that's what it will be. A friend, but it has to be a friend. Someone likes to travel. What else? I don't need your money. When I leave him, it's looking nice. It
should have been an if.
If I leave him.
Taking everything.
You, Ariane and
You're gonna be broke. Don't leave her.
So for me, just being honest and transparent, I actually did try to leave him at one point a few years ago. And the person that I dated was very similar to him, which was really crazy that I honestly ended up repicking him technically. I guess it would be, not to sound cliche, but it would be somebody who was motivated to alter himself to make a better relationship like Ron does. Definitely God-fearing. And I guess maybe somebody who know how to, like my husband do, know how to blend in. I'm a conversationalist. I love to be the life of the party. He knows how to do that when it's time and turn it off when it's time. And I like that. So those would be basic things, I guess.
Okay. Vaughn?
For me, I would go get me a mail order bride. Be truthful. Y'all know, man. Everybody on here that know Ariane, she's a very strong Black woman. So my thing, I went. I was married before, and I went for the fine. The fine best thing I could find, and it didn't work for me because she was horrible with money. She didn't, it just didn't work for me. Like I always had to cover everything all the time. So I wouldn't go for the finest woman. I would just, to be truthful, I would work on myself because I know there's things about me that's not great. But she would definitely have to be very submissive. And that's why I said the mail order bride.
Because she would be opposite of me, baby.
Because I have a very strong Black woman. So she would be very submissive. And then, the money situation, she would have to do money right because I did that before. It didn't work for me. So, I mean, just that. I mean, the core values as far as, the religion, the family, all this. So I think that comes with time and everything. But she would definitely have to be, like, I think I would go below myself. Like,
oh, gosh.
And I'm just being real. I would, like, find, I'm gonna make him laugh. I would go get me a project chick. I would go lower because I wouldn't want to deal with, me and my wife.
You will never find another
somebody humble.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just being truthful. Like we debate, we go back and forth, we have good conversation. So for me, I would go literally opposite of her, truly different. I wouldn't go for it. If I'm dating, if I'm not this gonna happen, I'm gonna go somebody totally different. I'm going way lower in the bottom of the totem pole than what I got. Yeah, it's just the truth.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Vaughn. Thank you.
So we're gonna end it a little bit, but I want to get this question out here too. Want to address this question real quick. Submissiveness, right? So because I think that's been spun a little bit too, and I think my cousin, I was just talking to him about this yesterday. He said he was having a conversation with someone, and the girl, I think she was married or something. And the question was, she didn't think men were submissive to their wives.
They're supposed to be as well.
And I was like, what? And I'm like, and he had to explain to her how we're submissive, right? And so I would just throw it out there, couples, husband or wife, whoever, can you knock that out the ballpark real quick? Because I think that's a real dinosaurish way of thinking. Like Barney Rubble, where's my food? You got a baseball bat, and like I'm like, that's crazy because I'm like,
I think that
I don't know, that's crazy to me.
Submission goes both ways, and it just depends on what you're talking about. Like, no, we're not at no time and age where you're like, he get home, I got food cooked, I done been keep the kids all day, and I'm like, yes, sir. No, sir. No, that's not it. We are submissive toward each other, whereas the things that he is strong in, he runs, he dictates. The things that I'm strong in, I run, I dictate. We're smart enough with each other. We love each other enough and we respect each other enough to understand that he's not going to be good at every avenue, nor am I. So you have to be submissive to the point of allowing that person to shine where they shine at. That's my personal opinion.
Thank you.
I got some clarity.
She is, truthfully, I mean, actually, she is telling the truth on that because the things she's shining, I just take a back seat to, and I might, commentate and say a little something here and there, but at the end of the day, it's a compromise.
Right. We're not going to do that just because you're the guy. I have to listen to what you say. That's crazy.
So you have to compromise in everything that you do, because if you don't, you're going to have a whole situation going on.
Thank you. All right. David clapped. So David, can you follow up for us? And guys, we have probably about 5 more minutes, and I know I don't want to take up too much more of you guys' time, so we're going to finish up this question. Then I have one, and then we're going to close the segment out. All right, okay. David.
Just real quick, the reason why I clap is when, it was like you come together, you do it together. Where you're strong at, be that. Where I'm strong at, hey, I got you. You know what I mean? So being that in the two, it's going to work. That's what I was clapping about. You're there together. I'm not going to put everything on your back, and don't put everything on my back. If you got something that you can bring it, and we can rise together.
I totally agree. That's why my word of the day was compatibility. Compatibility. Everybody has to be a team and bring something to the table. All right, I see some smiles from Diddy. Diddy, you want to follow up with us?
I think Kenny too.
Kenny got his hand up.
Okay.
I was gonna say, like, the first point of submission for most men is the fact that they said, okay, all women out the game, I'm just gonna marry you. I think that's like the biggest submission for most men. Like, the moment they say they're gonna marry you, that's like serious submission, because, like, hey, now you're the boss of the house. Like, once you get married, you don't run crap anymore. You just run everything. I'm like, crap, man. I like to do this, I like to do that. You're just like, she runs the show now. That's serious submission right there.
Okay. All right. If anyone else if you guys don't have anything else to say, I do want to ask you guys, again, been around couples who've been married for a very long time. I feel like you guys really complement each other. You guys are a team. I have seen you. I've seen what you put into the marriage and see how you invest into each other. But this is a question that I want to pose. Do you guys believe that love comes and goes in a marriage, right? It kind of goes in a circle. Sometimes you fall in love. Sometimes you fall out of love. You're going to have disagreements. There's going to be conflict, but all conflict is not bad. There actually is healthy conflict. It is just that when you fall out of love, to make sure that you find your way back to each other. All right. So Crystal has you want to follow up?
Let me do it.
You want to have something to say, Crystal?
Go ahead. She's talking, Crystal. Sorry.
Okay, no, I think she does. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I don't think that you fall out of love. You may fall out of like I don't like him every day, but I love him every single day. It was a post I seen a long time ago, and it was an old couple who were mad at each other. It's raining outside, and both of them have their backs turned toward each other. He still had the umbrella up over her because he still loved her. Like, I don't have to talk to you every single day. I will shut down and not say nothing because I may not like him, but I may end up, he takes a pill, and I'll say, I ain't talked to you today, but did you take your medicine? Because I love him every single day, and I want to make sure he's okay every single day. I may not like him, though. I tell him I break up with him all the time.
We broke up.
We break up in this household together. We're going to be together in this household, but I don't like you. And he'll just be like, are you ready to talk to me now? But to fall out of love, I think that becomes a whole nother territory. I mean, that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. I like that.
I like that.
Anybody else? Okay.
Personally, I do feel like love goes in cycles. Not that I would fall out of love with my husband, but I fall out of like with him, most of the time. I fall out of like with him a lot. But what makes me stay in love with him is his heart is so kind. And I could be as mean as a rattlesnake to him, and he's still gonna be like, I love you today. And you want something to eat? So he's always gonna give me the best of him.
Good to hear. I love that. Anybody else before we end?
I think that there are different types of love. I think it's defined in the Bible, like, unconditional love. Unconditional love is not loving somebody based on, how you're feeling. It's based on it's not based on like how you're feeling about them in a particular time or a particular, it's like no matter what you do, that you'll be there for them. Like no matter what, you will be there for them. And that's, something that you have to consistently work on. But I know that he's there for me no matter what, and I'm there for him no matter what, and we're going to be there for our children. Not based on, how we're feeling. Because if I'm sick, he's there for me. If he's sick, I'm there for him. Or if he's going through a hard time, we're there for each other. So that unconditional love is something that you have to put effort into.
I think in the Bible they it's called agape love. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's agape love is how God defines unconditional love in the Bible.
The highest, purest form of love.
Yeah. I was gonna say, see, this is why I think being friends help, because like to me, when I was dating and I date somebody and we had a fight and it's like, oh, all hell break loose and like there's no talking, I'm like, what the hell is going on here? You can disagree temporarily and still be friends. So when we were dating, this was some of the things I was looking at. It's like, all right, do these people know what love really means? Like, the fact that we have a disagreement and we can still be friends was part of the things that you look at in a relationship. And some people, you have this fight and like, oh, she has not called me for 2 days. She has not called me for 3 days. And I'm like, what's going on? And then you call them and they're trying to bite your neck off. I'm like, that's not going to work. So I think you should take your time
American women
in relationships to spend time with the partner, because this is where the love comes from at the end of the day. It should last forever. It's not enough.
But that's why I said that, before you enter into any relationship, you need to be comfortable with yourself and know yourself and love yourself first before you can even give that love to someone else. Like, you have to love yourself enough to know that, you want the best for yourself, and then you can give the best of yourself to someone else.
Yeah. Like when we broke up and I still loved you.
All right. If we don't have
before we chime out, one thing I was gonna say was it kind of wraps up, this conversation wraps up in full circle, because what we're saying is we won't have conditions on our love for our spouse. And that is also saying that if he doesn't make a certain amount of money, that's a condition, right? If you get overweight, I'm gonna not love you anymore. That's a condition, right? So when we are in a union that is healthy, you're able to say, can I love you without condition? Can I love you when you cheat? Can I love you when you lie? Can I love you when you sin? And because that's the love that God gives us. So if we're able to love, look at Crystal saying, I'm out.
That cheating thing is a whole nother story, Jesus.
No, I'm just saying we're all human.
I got you.
No one's perfect. No one's perfect. So can I love you when you maxed out my credit card? Can I love you when, you know what I mean? So there's this unconditional love that we need to. Y'all cracking. Come back.
No, and I definitely agree. I do want to say this since Joy brought it up. One thing I do want to follow with Dion, when Dion said that, because we are pretty people. There's beautiful people on this show right now. We have beautiful people in our culture, right? A lot of us are, in our 40s, maybe 39, 38, but we still look really, really good. Dion made a point. He said, like, you have to love someone because we all are not going to look the same for forever. Everybody's not going to go get a BBL. Everybody's not going to get their boobs done, right? You have to love your mate, because everybody's going to grow old. And the goal of marriage is actually to do what? Grow old together, right? And so that is so meaningful. But Joy, you're absolutely right. You have to love without conditions. And I will say this, some people may pick up some habits, right? People have trauma. They may lose a loved one. So maybe they might turn to drinking alcohol. Are you still going to love that person if they're now coping with a substance? Are you going to get them the help and the support that they need? So that is also a part of loving someone unconditionally. And again, someone said that my spouse might not earn as much money because something might happen to them. Do you leave your mate because they have a back injury and they can't walk for 6 months, right? That is all part of what we're actually talking about. So I think all of you guys had very good points, very valid points. I love that we had all these healthy, non-toxic couples actually coming on the show.
We're going to go beat each other up, all of us.
It's the thing, too. I like to end it with this, too. Each couple, each spouse say what they love and appreciate about their spouse.
I'll go first.
So wake your husband up so he can say this.
Yeah, wake him up. You probably got the
Y'all ain't gonna see the
outside.
loving part of him if I.
Yeah,
Y'all not gonna see the loving part of him if I wake him up right now.
Crystal, don't let them do you like that. You understand your husband enough to know he need his sleep. You leave him right on alone.
I already said what I love about my husband. I love his heart. Like he has a heart of gold. Like the amazingness. My husband's a principal, so the amount of love that he has for the kids that go to his building, and also the amount of love that he has. Just, I love his heart. He's so kind. He's so sweet. His heart reminds me of my mom.
All right, thank you, Krista. All right, Didi and Dion.
Tell them what you love about
I don't have an answer.
He out of there.
It's a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? How do you answer that question? You know,
We said pick we said one thing. Pick the best thing about her. Yes.
Best thing about her, the cooking. Can I say that?
Oh, you in trouble tonight?
I'm superficial. She's got a bunch of things that's great, man. She's a real person, and I appreciate that. She puts me in my place when I need to be put in it, and she puts up with me, and I put up with her, and you know, we just do what works for us. You know what I mean? And I don't have to ask no questions about what's going on. I can pretty much always know what's going on with her.
Thank you, Didi.
I would say that I love the fact that my husband is a provider. And I also love the fact that I feel like I can be myself, because that I think gets lost in translation a lot when you get into relationships, because we grow or morph into each other so easily. But there's still some individuality in my relationship, and that's what I love most about it.
Thank you. David?
I love about Joy is that she's just a good-hearted person. You know, her heart is good. Her heart is open. I love that she's, you know, she has, like, I don't want to say everything, but she has an answer to everything. You know, if we get in a, you know, whatever, you know, she's got an answer for it. You know, yeah, I could call her from work. Hey, babe, I need your input on this. Boom, boom, boom. You know, and so I just love that she's again, a go-getter.
Resourceful.
You know, resourceful person. I love that she loves God. You know, and I love that she loves, you know, she puts everything into, you know, our family. You know what I mean? And like I told you before, I'm a family man. I love my family, you know, and I love that she just puts it all in. You know, I do also, but she, you know, she's a good person, good heart.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you, David. All right, Joy.
That man has my back. Remember, like Sierra. But no, I do love how David has my back. He does. No matter what I'm doing, he does say, babe, you're putting too much on your plate. But he never fails or never ceases to help me. So he is definitely my helpmate. He's there for me before I'm there for myself. He puts me first all the time, over and over again, even when I don't deserve it. It's
gonna be a good night for David tonight. Let him keep talking, David.
All right, thank you, Joy. Kenny.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay, you guys already went. Ariane, I'm sorry, Ariane.
Well, I love his ability to try. Like, no, we don't have everything all figured out, whether it be the way, you know, our communication is every day. We're trying to figure out something better for each other or another way. Even to, you know, just everything, 100%, Vaughn will give it all. If he's not doing it right, he's literally like, what do I need to do? I need to turn off that switch that I had on. Tell me the other switch to turn on. I do like what Joy said, because it's true. He has my back even when I don't want him to. I'm like, no, I'm okay. He's like, no, sit down. He will shut down everybody for calling my phone if he thinks for a half of a second I'm not feeling good. I don't care if it's kids, mama. He like, no, he will take my phone. So nobody can call me to be able to look out for me. So I love that about him.
Thanks, Ariane. Okay, and Vaughn.
Ariane, actually, I'll put it to you like this: she is my backbone. Even just small little things. We're very similar, but then we're totally different. She's more high energy than I am, so a lot of times, it's just I have to understand where she's coming from in a lot of situations. So definitely what I like about her, she packages a lot of things for me because I look at things differently from her because she's a woman, I'm a man. So that's one of the biggest things that I like about her. She knows how to package things to me. She's my backbone. And at the end of the day, I would say that she has the best thing for me, even though sometimes I'm like, I don't like that. But she's always has my back, and she's always has the best interest at heart when I really think about things. So those are the things I love about her.
All right. So Amaru, do you want to share or say anything before we wrap up? And he's on mute.
No, I thought Kenny and them were Kenny. And
you guys went already, right?
No, they didn't.
Oh,
No.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Hello. Well, since Kenny and I were friends, I kind of, I knew him for who he is, and just accepted him for who he is, and vice versa. And so we just had that friendship. We like to laugh. He's a little bit more silly than I am and more talkative than I am. But he's very family oriented. He loves his family, and he's always there for not just us, but others and anybody who needs. He is there for everyone. Like he's a true friend, and he's a good father to our kids. And when he can be incredibly thoughtful from just the way, like when he puts effort into things, it's really very amazing.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Go ahead, Kenny.
Man, let me not lie, man. I like the big booty.
I am done with you, Kenny.
All right. That out the way. It's a fact, man. People are over here trying to be all righteous.
Now I heard Dion say that too.
Yeah, so with that out the way though, like you said, she knows I like family, and it's just like she allows the family to be. So like my grandma said something. My grandma is no longer here. Most people that know me know that I love my grandma. And my grandma always said that once you find somebody that allows you to be yourself and not try to change you, that's the person you should marry. So the moment that I realized that she just lets me be me without trying to conform or transform me to who I am, and just loves me and my family, like, some people marry somebody and that person takes them away from their family. But then you marry somebody and then they make sure that the family stays together and helps you build your family together. Those are some really critical things that, a woman that adds value not just to you, but to your entire extended family. And the extended family also loves her. Like, hey, Kenny, don't have this up. If you F this up, we're kicking you out too. Kind of situation. So I love that about her. She's very caring. She's very loving. I mean, we can put minds together and plan something and implement it and build together. I think that was that's been really, really good in terms of our relationship. So I love her about that. She's very God fearing. She's always trying to put me straight, even though I'm the adventurous, religious person, like trying to learn and gain more knowledge, and she allows me to do that. So I think I'm super blessed to have a woman like her in my life.
All right, Amaru, anything that you want to say before
I
we
want to thank everybody for coming on because I know it was last minute. I know we were a little disorganized when we got things situated, but when we got the flowing, it was great content. Obviously, we would love to have this back in a live forum, right, where we're present, because I think with the kind of artists that we do have, a lot of them, they may not be watching now, but what happens a lot of times they replay it, and then we'll get text messages and inboxes about, we should did this or did that. And so we would love to have you guys back. We would obviously let you know ahead of time, so no distractions, nothing like that. But I love each and every one of your stories because it's real Black love. We promote Black love. We promote Black unions. We don't promote Black negativity. We promote the craziest thing about the time of day we in right now. I tell my wife this all the time. What kills all that negativity, and the negative stuff that you see out here, is the Black family, because you know each other's roles, right? Mm-hmm. Father respects wife respects husband, and it trickles down through your kids, right? Mm-hmm. By that foundation, who also learns from that, other people, right, who may have dysfunctional situations going on. Don't think because you have turmoil in your marriage that other people, they want to be in your shoes. They want what you have. So you have to fight for what you guys have. Is it whether it's a year or 20, right? People see it on the outside like, man, I wish I had a husband like that. Or, man, I wish I had a wife like that. They want what you have. So fight for your unions, fight for each other. I love seeing it because it re-energizes me when I see others around me. When they're going through their turmoil, I say, yeah, it may be bad, but it may be worse if you step out and go on the other side and go to the other grass, right? Because that grass ain't gonna be greener, it ain't gonna be taller, it ain't gonna be shorter. It's just gonna be some mud. It ain't gonna be no grass, right? So you know what I mean? So I love each and every one's your story because it's unique. Different situations, older, younger, years apart, redated, all that. That's great because it's also giving hope to the kids that's out here who's watching. Trust me, it's kids watching this stuff. So I love it. I commend you. I salute you. Keep fighting. We will end on this. Thank you guys for participating. I hated that it went so long, but it was great content. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much.
One more thing, guys. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. It is greener where you water it.
Yes.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.